This show is intended to entertain, educate, inspire, and support you on your personal journey. I am not a medical doctor and do not offer any professional health or medical advice. While the guest on this show is a health professional, each person is different, and the advice shared in this show is general in nature and should not substitute for you seeking guidance for your specific situation from a qualified health professional of your choosing. This is How Do I Do This? The show for anyone asking, is it just me or is this a lot? I've been practicing yoga for 15 years, but over the past 5, it had become something that I maybe would do if I found time. Being a mom, it was hard to find time for my mat and a lot of excuses why I couldn't. But after my mom passed, I found it as something I needed to do, not to check a box, not to be in great physical shape, but to remind myself to breathe, to remind myself that I still had a body and that my body is simply a container for my soul. And so today on How Do I Do This with Ryan, where we ask the tough, messy questions about how to grow and become someone new after life unravels, we're going to be discussing how movement is associated with your body and how it can be a tool for healing. My guest today is Moronke Ogundele, and she is a doctor of physical therapy and also a skilled and amazing yoga teacher at Yonder Yoga here in Atlanta. And so she's going to be here to help us unravel when our body was to become too tight and to give us some tips and tricks about how to introduce the idea of yoga and also how body and movement and our anatomy can be used as a tool for healing. I'm so glad you're here.
So glad to be here.
All right. So before every show, I have my guests pick out some tea because my grandmother, who was raised in the South, was spilling the tea over hot tea with the church ladies before it was in the Urban Dictionary. And so in my mind, you can't really have a good conversation about healing, big messy questions, unless you're sipping on hot tea. So what did you choose today?
I chose the honey lavender stress relief.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Any reason in particular?
Because I'm a mom.
I love it. All right. That's awesome. So your skill set is so amazing to me. And I know everybody at Yonder Yoga, it's a great studio. They have locations in Atlanta. They have locations in North Carolina. They have locations in Athens. All the teachers are great. I stumbled into your class based on a recommendation from my friend Jessica. Shout out to Jessica. And I fell in love with the way you teach. And then I found out, oh, you're a doctor of physical therapy. Like, it's a little elevated. So tell me, what came first? Was it the medical part or the yoga part?
It was the medical part.
Okay.
And the funny thing is when you talk about being a physical therapist and a yogi, a lot of people were like athletic as kids. No.
You were not?
I was not.
Oh, that's so surprising.
I did soccer for a season in 6th grade. I did basketball for a season in 8th grade. I did a track meet and I did one race and the coach was like, I think you should be a thrower. And that was, so I wanted to be athletic.
But you weren't an athlete.
No, I sang.
That is shocking to me.
I sang and I did student government. But my parents, who are both Nigerian immigrants, both worked a lot growing up. And my mom was a nurse and my dad was an engineer, electrical engineer. And it was interesting when I would see them come home because their parents were stressed. There was 4 of us, so they're stressed out. Yeah. And my mom would be stressed, my dad would be stressed. My mom always had a glimmer of something through her day. Like, yes, this happened, but I saw a baby born today. Or this person went home and we never thought he was gonna go home. So I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. That was where it started. I knew I wanted to be in healthcare in some way. And then, you do internships, this and that, and physical therapy, there's not a lot of blood.
Yeah.
And there's not a lot of there's some bodily fluids, but not a lot. Right. So it sort of leaned me into that. And then I really didn't become like physically active regularly until I was in physical therapy school and met my boyfriend, my husband. And we were hiking up Kennesaw Mountain. And have you been to Kennesaw Mountain?
I have, yes.
It's not super, super steep. It's a challenge.
Yeah.
And he's 13 years older than me. And I remember almost throwing up. And I was so embarrassed. Because I was just not in good shape. And then I started working out. So that was still even before the yoga though.
Okay.
So cut to I'm a physical therapist. I've been practicing for a year or two. Started just having a lot of like shoulder pain, neck pain, whatever.
Because you're manipulating bodies in work, right?
Not as much as I think some people assume, especially in my setting. If you're in like an inpatient setting or working in the hospital where you have to physically move patients, that's a lot more. I'm sort of in between. My specialties push me more towards being a little bit more physical because I work with people with amputations. But yeah, I was doing like Groupons here and there to just add to my weight training. That was like my thing before. Right? I like to do weight training. And then I ran out of all the Groupons, right? And my pain came back like aggressively. Aggressive. And my husband was like, well, when you were doing yoga a couple months ago, you felt good. Like it had been gone for a while. And I was just like, I need to do yoga. And my boss at the time was just like, well, see if the company will pay for it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And they did. And so then I became certified. That's awesome. It was in me having that pain and it improving that I realized like the stress. I've had so many young people, old people where, all of a sudden I have this pain. I'm like, no, you had a huge change. The main one that sticks out for me was 23-year-old girl, young, moved from California to Atlanta, started a job as a second grade teacher. And her pain came out of nowhere. I'm like, honey, it didn't.
Wow. You had a big life change and you haven't dealt with it.
And the more you recognize how much that consistently weaves in over and over and over again with all of my patients, that's when I knew I was like, I need to connect the two. Even if it's just the recognition of the two and being able to explain to people, even if we are going to strengthen your shoulder, that movement in itself is going to help you. The breath with that movement is going to help you because you've got some other stuff you got to deal with too. And we can only get you so far. And it helped me realize why I was only able to get some patients so far is we weren't digging into the stuff that was holding them all the way back. And so it was one of being my first patient of that. That's sort of what really got me much more into the yoga, got me certified. And
so it sounds like it even made you a better doctor.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
So I'm just so fascinated by this. Can you give us like a practical example of how, and of course make somebody up because we want to protect everybody's privacy. An example of how you would have treated somebody before you understood how yoga and breath work works as a doctor versus now, like what you might add into it or change or
the main thing is the mindfulness. The mindfulness and the awareness consistently. So, someone comes in for neck, shoulder pain. Okay, I'm gonna give you some neck stretches, some strengthening for your back. We might talk about your posture at work. We might talk about your sleep position. But since then, I've realized the exercises be damned. The strengthening, the stretches be damned. We can do all of these things, but you need to really focus on the things outside of this. The things that you do most of the time are what's going to create your problems.
Or your solutions.
Or your solutions. Right. And so kind of like we say in the yoga room, like, this is a practice. You practice things here to take out when you're not here, because that's where it's important. The yoga time, when you're in there, it's a good buffer and a good reminder, but it's taking that breath and that awareness outside. So I'm definitely am much more into having people make sure they're addressing their habits, because it's what you're doing most of the time, and acknowledging if those habits are because of other stuff. And then more of the research I've done, there's a lot of research about job satisfaction playing a huge role in chronic low back pain. I treat patients with jaw, TMJ, TMD issues.
That's one of the favorite things you remind us of in class when you say, loosen your jaw, and I sometimes feel like you're standing right over me. I think you even call me out in class.
Everyone knows.
A couple of times.
It's mostly the faces when you see someone go from to, you're like, okay.
Yeah, that was it. A couple of weeks ago, you were like, Rain, you need to relax your face. I was like, got it.
Nailed it. Yeah. But we don't do it on purpose. We don't realize we're doing it. Yeah. But the more you're able to recognize that you're doing it in the yoga practice or in the clinic, and that's what I'll tell them. I'm like, I am not nagging you, but I want you to hear me tell you, relax your shoulders when you're at home, because you're going to do it at home.
Yeah, for sure.
And the thing I tell people too is it's not going to get, they'll come back and go, I really was stressed out because I kept having to relax my shoulders. I'm like, you're winning when you tell yourself to relax. Not recognizing it isn't necessarily better. It's when you start recognizing it and you didn't do anything to change. You're like, oh,
you're already in pain.
They were already relaxed. Like, oh, great. Yeah. Now you're doing good. But noticing, oh, I've noticed it 6 times in 30 minutes. Good.
Congratulations.
Good. You're paying attention. Yeah. That's part of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know. I think that's one reason I was so drawn to come back to my mat on a consistent, regular basis, is because after losing my mom, and I still have some days like this, and I had never experienced it before, I feel like I'm floating. My body feels separate, and this sounds totally woo-woo and crazy as hell, I know. And if somebody else had told me this, I'm not sure I would believe it. But even if I was doing this with my fingers, touching each of my fingers were numb. My fingertips were numb, which was challenging for me because I'm an attorney. I write all day. I'm a transactional attorney. And not being able to feel the tips of your fingertips and needing to churn out a 40-page agreement is not a good recipe. But being that consistency you talk about, going to yoga, being in that class, it would be lovely if I could roll out a mat anywhere and just lay on my back and breathe for a moment. But that's not realistic. But what is realistic is hearing your voice in my head when I'm clenching my jaw, or I'm holding my breath because, being type A+, I'm trying to get the perfect words down in the agreement and the perfect clauses synced up together, but to say, okay, I can take 2 minutes and breathe, right? And it's that consistency, that reminder, and that's something you've helped me with so much. Yeah,
I'm glad.
So that I'm not floating anymore, or as much,
as less.
Yeah,
less.
Yeah, less.
Yeah.
So you are a great yoga teacher, and I oftentimes feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it's totally fine, but in class, there's so much intuition I feel that comes from you. Where do you think that comes from?
I want people to succeed. I've realized that. So in my work, I also manage my clinic. Okay. So I have 4 therapists and 2 front office. It's a bigger clinic on the outpatient side. And then when it comes to the patients, I've realized what gets me the most frustrated is patients who I know could do really, really, really well and be pain-free or more mobile if they put in the time. And so I recognize, especially being at Yonder specifically, and I've been there since we opened, recognizing what will hold you back and what will make you not want to come back. And I try to find that balance, because there's a lot of people who are, oh, it's a really advanced studio. It wasn't. I was there when we opened and we didn't have even an advanced class, but being encouraging enough to make people want to show up over and over and over. And that's what I want. Yeah. That's my goal. When I show up to teach, I want to give you a reason to come back. And even when I fight to have it when I practice. I was practicing next to someone the other day, and she was struggling. And at the end, she was like, "Oh my gosh, that was so hard." And I was like, "No, you did great. Like, you did awesome. Like, come back, keep coming back. Like, so I'm just gonna go to this class or that." I was like, "No, just show up." Yeah. I'm like, "Just girl, what time fits your schedule?" I'm like, "Do your thing, take child's pose." And she walked out and came back in. Like, you knew what to do. Yeah. And so I feel like I always want people to feel like they leave with something. And I think I say it most of the time. I halfway through class, I'm like, you need to leave with whatever you needed to leave with. And if it changed, which it does a lot, then leave with that. Yeah. Leave with something that makes you want to come back, and leave with something that makes you want to take it off the mat. Yeah. And I feel like if I'm able to do that a little bit for everyone, and even if not, I've had people walk out in the middle and never come back, and that's fine too. Yeah. But the more I can see people like you, when I saw you come back, I was like, yes, she's back, she's back. Especially if I see someone who's like walks out or is in child's pose, I'm like, oh, they're never coming back, man. Yeah. Yeah. And I see them again, I'm like, yes. Because as adults, we don't play. We don't play. We don't like to fail. And there is no failing in yoga. You could sit in the back and breathe the whole time, and that's yoga.
You showed up.
And that's always a tricky thing too. There's 8 limbs of yoga. The asana is one small part of it. And obviously that's what people lean into because they do like the fitness compartment of it. But the asana takes different shapes and forms too. And when I take classes, I think I sometimes purposely make sure to modify a lot because I want people to see like, one, I don't have a strong practice. I don't have the time. Yeah. That's my next thing is sort of kind of like with my physical therapy, being more of a patient, being more of a yogi who's struggled to get my handstands. And so that's my like pre-40. I've got my goals set in mind. I love it. To do that so I can also go back and be back in your shoes. Because as we are now with students, I've been that first timer in yonder. It's freaking hot in here. I remember when we did our first classes, it was before COVID. Full class, 45 people in the class, plus the instructor, plus 2 people who were doing hands-on assists because the grand opening was fire. Do people still say that? Yeah. It was so much fun. And
I know, we're in our 40s.
But being there and being like, it's hot. And then showing up again being like, it was still hot, but I did it. And like doing more and more and more. And so now that I'm more used to the heat, I want to be able to say like, okay, I was post-kid, late 30s, almost 40, and I learned how to do this. I want to keep being that person who I can speak from experience to encourage people to keep coming back and pushing themselves however they want to, feel like it, need to, don't need to.
Well, and I think you make a wonderful point because I lived in Mississippi for a while. I've practiced in lots of different studios. There's a lot of great studios in Atlanta, and you can find what fits your style and what you need. And I'm a person who I like the heat. I do like a little bit of the push, but at the same time, I think just the last class I took with you on Friday, it was a day after what I'm calling a high grief day for me. And there were things you cued, and I was like, and I'm done. And I was in child's pose for a good minute because my body and my mind my body didn't want to cooperate anymore because I was on the back heels of a high grief day, which I now kind of describe like, I use the phrase high grief because it's like an ocean wave for me. High tide, high grief, like kind of goes together in my brain. It's probably not clinical at all or anything, but that being said, what would you say to somebody who is interested in yoga, but they're intimidated by the idea, or they see all the Instagram yogis and they think I have to have a certain body or be a certain age or be of a certain physical ability? What you've described about the coming back and it being accessible, I have found that in every studio I've gone to. Now some people say it more and some it visually looks, you see great diversity as far as athleticism, ages, men, women, and some you don't. And honestly, I've walked in some of those places and I'm like, yeah, this is not for the mid 40-year-old mom. This is for the 20-somethings, which is fine. I'm glad I went. I still got something out of the class. Maybe didn't go back. But what would you say to somebody who feels really intimidated about walking into any yoga studio? What would be some good questions they could ask or maybe look for?
I think the main thing is, again, I think we're just, as adults, afraid to, quote, fail and to look silly. And to me, I'm like, just get over it.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. It's kind of like going to the gym, too. So I have a lot of patients like, I can't go to the gym. I need to get in a certain shape to go to the gym. The gym is to get into shape. Right. So the reality is 2 things. Anyone who looks worse than you is looking at you. Anyone who looks better at you is looking at themselves. So don't worry about it.
That's an amazing thought. I have never thought about that.
It because the gym I go to specifically is a bodybuilding gym.
Oh, okay.
But we've been going for years. So we get a family rate, and we like the people who own there, and they're nice. But I mean, there's people who are just in the mirror flexing.
Stop.
Yeah.
But
they train them for those competitions.
Yes.
So that's the gym I go to. And I know most gyms aren't like that. So I know that those people they're literally looking at themselves. They're not worried about you.
Yeah.
It can be intimidating. And then the other thing that pops into my head is people's opinions of you aren't your business.
I love that quote. That is one of my favorite
My husband
quotes.
always tells me that.
I have to remind myself of that a lot of times.
And then if you show up again, that just shows your strength, that you were able to be okay with not feeling comfortable. We're so used to being comfortable all the time. And to the point where, because we're so used to being comfortable, we make ourselves uncomfortable by making our minds go crazy.
Yeah.
So even though we're in a, a cool gym or a hot yoga studio that we decided to show up to, because we are now comfortable enough to do the things we want to do, we're going to try to chase ourselves away. I do it. I say it out loud because I'm saying it to myself too. But yeah, just get over it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And there are places where the atmosphere genuinely is not good. That's what I love about Yonder is we specifically, if you've met the owners or the people who have started with us, they go out of their way to know your names because they want you to feel important. Yeah. One of the things they have accompanied, and I didn't train with Yonder, I was teaching before Yonder opened, but they will teach hands-on assists to make sure everyone, because that feeling of touch makes a huge difference. Obviously, there's some
statistics about how much how little adults get touched, and even if you're in a relationship and like the need that how many touches you may know this, how many touches that is that the human needs every day, but that might be their only chance.
Yeah. The shout outs, that's specific to the Yonder. Like give them a shout out. Yeah. Even if you're in child's pose, that's a great child's pose. I've had people, I'm like, they get sips of water. I'm like, good timing, like, because all these things it's not just me. Yeah. We want to uplift you. We want you to come back. That's why we've been able to expand the way we've expanded and have that clientele that, like you said, it looks very different, even in the advanced classes. So I take the advanced class because it's the class after my class. Yeah. Not because I'm advanced. It's the class that's right after. Right. I don't have to go home and change and come back. Right. But even when you go there, it's a lot of teachers, but it's a lot of people who, same thing. It's a 9 o'clock class. So this is when I can get here. And I just happen to get a chance to learn a little bit more of maybe what I can lean into and do at some point, or that looks good on you. And I'm going to pick what I want to do instead. Yeah.
I love the analogy. And I don't know if you gave it, but with yoga is one of the first classes I did. Actually, this was when I was in Mississippi. I had just started going to a studio. It was, I think maybe you would label it advanced. I had a girlfriend who was going and I fell in love with it. And one of the teachers always said, this class is like a bus ride. You can get off at any stop. And I was like, yes. And that was such a freeing idea, is that I don't have to be perfect. If my body's not feeling it today, just because it felt good on the right side doesn't mean it's going to feel good on the left side. Just because I know that I rocked that pose last time. Maybe I slept funky yesterday. Maybe as of recently, I'm having a high grief day. And so I'm just going to chill out. I'm going to get off the bus right now. I'm going to take a little break and I'll hop back in. And all of it's good. So what do you think is something you wish more people understood about their bodies when they've had a big life change? Because in your medical practice, you spoke about the fact that you work a lot with people with amputees and or who have had amputations. Let me say, I hope I said that correctly. And that's a grief episode. That's an unraveling of your life doesn't look like perhaps you thought it would. What do you wish more people knew about their bodies and how breath work could help them when they're dealing with a big life change?
Well, just in general, there's a lot of research that shows stress increases cortisol increases inflammation. Inflammation tied to pain, and then it's just sort of this
circle in the drain.
Yeah. And so the tricky thing with my patients in particular is some of the things that they deal with are, it's like almost what you call acute on chronic. So you've been doing this thing and now you added this other thing, and that's what's the issue now. So peeling away the layers of whatever it is. And so that goes back to kind of like the posture. If you have been sitting at a desk or driving a bus or doing these things for all these years, and then you got in a car accident, all right? So you already weren't in optimal shape. You just by chance didn't have pain yet, and now you're going back, and so you're so used to being pain-free technically, and so it's sort of teaching people you're going to have to make a lot of changes, but also acknowledge what you should have changed in the first place. And I think that's one of the big things I get with my patients who've had amputations is, there's different reasons to have amputations. Some are traumatic. I unfortunately see a lot more that are medical. And so people who are, infections due to diabetes that won't heal, bad circulations, things like that. So unfortunately, those people already didn't have a very active lifestyle. So when I tell them this is going to be the hardest thing that you ever have to do, a lot of them don't believe me.
What is their reaction when they hear that?
I think what I've learned over the years is by the time I'm seeing them and telling them this, they're just halfway through the grief process. Mm-hmm. And as I'm working with them and they start to realize how hard it actually is, it starts to hit. And that's something I'm still working on, is how do I treat this whole thing? Because, part of it is, if I'm learning how to walk and I want to walk with a cane, chances are that's not going to be an option. And so sort of having to, I hate to say it, but just kind of quell their expectations to what's going to be real. And again, the work that they're going to have to do to get there. Because again, you add in the grief of the loss, so you have to deal with that. But then you have to be really physically active to get to the rest of it.
And they probably weren't beforehand.
Usually not. And that's something I'm learning to develop in my line of questioning is, what was your life like before this? What were you doing before? And then helping sort of set those expectations. And it's frustrating because then they go on, kind of like you said about the yoga, they go online and they see, oh, this guy did that. I'm like, well, he was 20 and it was a car accident. Those are significantly different than you were already very sedentary and then this infection came and then that and that. And then it was a slow roll into the amputation as well. That changes things a lot. And so it's more of my job, and just in the past recent years, especially since having my daughter, I think I'm realizing I need to really have those tough conversations of what is going on outside of here. Because we are going to have to address all of it before we can really get you what you even think you want. And then what you think you want, that also might need to change. It's tricky.
Yeah.
It's tricky.
I didn't realize this, but my mom had type 2 diabetes and had lost her mobility and had several times been on the brink of an amputation. And so you being here is so special. I wish she had had somebody like you. Because she had great physical therapists, but she had gotten to the point where she was sedentary, and then she had several breaks and then infections attached to it with a type 2 diabetes. It's one reason I'm very, I try to stay on top of my health a lot physically, because her mother had that and then she had it. And so I know what I'm genetically predisposed to. And so I know she had gotten to a place where she really was, why try? It's too far gone. What do you say to those people who feel like it's too far gone?
I get it. I get it. There's only so much I can do. And I tell people that from the start, what, kind of like yoga, what you are going to get out of this is what you do when you're not here. My job is to help you get to what you want. So a lot of times it's, especially with my amputees, I've had plenty who they don't walk, but they can transfer. They can do all the things. They've gotten their car set up. Like one of my favorite guys, he was in a bad explosion. So he was double above knee and burns, scars all over his body. And we started doing some walking, but he just even just being able to get in and out of his wheelchair by himself. And he got really, really far, and we started walking. And when you're a double above knee, you start with what they call stubbies. So it's just a little, so you're about that tall, And he did a little bit of walking with that, and he was still getting better and stronger, and he was showing his muscles and all that stuff. And then he came in one day, and he's like, I quit. I'm like, okay.
That's a choice.
He's like, you have helped me do everything I want to do except walk. And he's like, and I realized I can do all the things I want to do despite walking. And he's like, and as long as I keep coming to the therapy, my daughter's going to treat me like a child and I want to move out of my house, out of her house. So my goal is I want you to feel as independent and safe as possible. So if walking isn't it, that's fine. But I also acknowledge, feeling like your mother, even the movement, kind of like you said, the breath work, the movement, the having to breathe, the having to move will at least make you feel better in your head. And so I still will encourage people to try something. Try with me for a little while. And because I've had patients who, because of high health risk, they're not eligible for knee replacements, any joint replacements, hip replacements, this, that, and the other. I had one lady come in and the doctor treated her like crap. I sometimes really don't like physicians, but he made a lot of assumptions. She has no mobility in her hips and her knees because her hips are just riddled with arthritis, but she had no pain. And so she was someone who, because it wasn't painful and she could still do the things she needed to do, it got really, really far gone. So she sees the orthopedic and he tells her, well, you know this isn't going to work. You know that's not going to work. We can't do this. We can't do that. And she tells me this and I'm like, I'm sorry that he said that. And I was like, and I told her what his assumptions were. His assumptions were that she had tried therapy and quit, that she let this get this far. And I was like, I know what happened because I've talked to you about it. It wasn't painful. So you kept going and you kept doing the things you need to do. The reality is any exercise is going to make you feel better. Any increased motion is going to make you feel better. And the crazy thing for her, because it's her hips, she's been having a lot of improvement in her pelvic floor.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things where
they're all connected.
Yeah, they're all connected. So had he even asked her a single extra question, he saw her and made assumptions and sort of sent her on her way. And she felt horrible about it. I was like, well, do no harm. Good job, guy.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be something you can get out of it. Kind of like the yoga. Yeah, I might not be able to do a handstand, but did you go in the room and breathe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hang out in the sauna? Yeah, it's a sauna pretty much in there, So there's always going to be something. So the breath work, even just feeling better in the skin you're already in, even if it doesn't change your mobility, even if it doesn't change your ability, there's still something to gain from physical activity, no matter what it looks like.
So when you talk about breath work and somebody's listening, and we always like to provide good resources in the notes section, is there a website or a place or somewhere they can go, or even a book that would really tell them what you mean when you say the phrase breath work? I know what that means. You know what that means, but maybe somebody's listening and this idea is a new idea to them.
I don't have any resources, honestly, but the main thing I use for physical therapy is just the acknowledgement of your breath.
So what does that look like?
We talk about, in the neck and shoulders, but people will be working their ankles and I'm seeing them hunching over. And I'm like, relax your shoulders, breathe. It's just something that we don't recognize. I think because we're so fast paced too. But the reality is when we're breathing, we are helping our central nervous system calm down. The fight or flight. Back in the day when there was the fast breathing and we were being chased by something or having to chase something, there was a reason. But we go into this reaction for no reason whatsoever now because we've stimulated ourselves so much. And so you're in this fight or flight reaction when you're just sitting there. So even in these pauses, if we're just acknowledging how am I breathing, it can just sort of catapult everything for a downgrade, all this panic that we tend to feel. And it translates everywhere.
Could you kind of walk through, for people listening and watching, sort of how you start each of our classes with breath work and give them a little cues? Can you do that off the top of your head? I know I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. So, first is just coming to the room. You come to the room, settle in, pay attention to your breath. What's going on? Because this is probably the first time you've paid attention to it. Driving here, walking here, checking in, saying hi, saying bye, setting up your blocks, setting up your props, settle. Just let your mind see where it is. For the first time today, this week, this month, where is your breath? And then deepen it. Likely the breath was in your stomach or just in your throat. Let's get it everywhere. So starting in your nose to your throat to your chest, lift your belly whole. And then follow that same air all the way out. Even if you just stick with that, you're good. Yeah. And then keep following it in. Make it deeper than you thought. And then let that out. Emptier than you thought you could get. And then keep going with that. Then add the pause. And as you add the pause, you recognize that there's a length in your breath that you always have, regardless of what's going on. There's an inhale, there's a pause. There's an exhale, there's a pause. However long or short you need it, don't ignore that pause, because that pause is what makes the change. And then after that, we start going to our Ujjayi breath. And so that breath is a breath of victory. And I there's a lot of different reasons why people will say it's a breath of victory, but I think it's such a strong breath that it unites. And again, it makes us all get to the point where we've done something right away. You know, that Ujjayi breathing in through your nose, out through your nose, constriction in the back of your throat, feeling the heat, but you're still following it in all the way down into your belly. Make your belly expand. Exhale, let it all the way go. Finding that heat, finding that rhythm like that ocean wave. And then there's this beauty where, yes, we're together, and then it starts to unsync, even though everyone's still going at that rhythm, and it really will sound like an ocean wave. And it's so cool. When you're like teaching a class, you're like,
everybody's breathing awesome. Yeah.
Now let's party.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and even just now hearing you describe it, and because I've been in your classes, like I felt myself all of a sudden relax myself, you know, and you talk about that pause, and I didn't appreciate this until after my mom passed, but I often now think a lot about the dash. We have the year she was born, we have the year that she passed, and we all will have that, right? It's that dash, that pause. Well, what are we doing in the middle, right? What's making a difference?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. You're a mom, and you're a doctor, and you're a yoga teacher. What do you want that space to look like for you, your legacy?
I don't know. My two favorite things are being a wife and being a mom.
Same.
Like, and then becoming a mom made me even more want to lean into being a wife. And so I think when you first talked to me after one of our classes, you had me stop approaching me at the studio, by the way. You make me cry almost every time. I swear.
I don't mean to.
I know. No, but you had mentioned you had lost your mom. And so my husband lost his mom 12 years ago now. And so we were just dating, and we joke that he has to stay with me forever because I was her deathbed wish. He was like, marry that girl.
The same thing happened to my husband. His mom told her the same.
She's like, marry that girl and don't stop training dogs. And we could do a whole episode on her life. I mean, she has, in a 10-year span, she lost her child, her brother to suicide, and her father to a heart attack. And so that's the woman that raised my husband. And because of that, he has shown me, don't take life so freaking seriously. And then adding in my daughter has made me realize, like, don't take life so freaking seriously, but take the non-serious things seriously. You know, right now she's doing this little thing where she'll go to sleep and then like want him to come back in over and over, and they'll fight. And we force ourselves to laugh about it every single time because we've made the decision, we're only having one child. This is going to go away. And so recently he's been having moments where he's like, I really miss my mom. And so that makes you just want to lean into being a better wife. I'm like, talk to me about it. Like, where can I? And I know, you know, there's no fill in. And I wish I had the relationship he had with his mom with my mom. Like, we're just not as close. They were so close. But where can I be a better wife to you to help you have everything you deserve? You know, he stays home with her, and sometimes I'm jealous of that, but he's been through the bullshit already. You know, with the age gap, he's been through a lot of the things. And so like, it's my turn to go through a lot of the things, you know, and I'm happy to do it. And then just watching my daughter grow and just being able to come home to her and be sassy and silly and funny and crazy and neurotic and all these things. Like, I want to, first and foremost, I want to say I was a great wife and a great mom. That my daughter could tell me everything she needed to, that she could confide in me at any time. And then from there, I want to say people think I was a coach for them, you know. With my work and with being a yoga teacher, I just want people to succeed. I want people to leave my presence feeling a little bit better. In clinic, I'm pretty similar to how I am at the studio. Like, someone will get a sit to stand that they didn't think they have. They're like, I have to use my hands. Like, you don't have to use your hands. Like, you can do it. And the whole clinic, I'll be like, I will whoop and holler. And then same thing with managing. That's why there's been times where I'm like, do I want to still manage? Because it is more work. But I love seeing my therapist get stronger and better and have those tough conversations with patients and
confidence
get
in
patients
themselves.
better. Yeah. And be able to be busy, but not feeling that they're failing. And also to have them see, like, I'm with you, not against you. Because I've had bad managers before.
Oh, we all have.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're like, I'm the only one doing the work. But for them to have a good example of like, we all do the work.
Or managers who assume you've automatically messed up just because some outside person is expressing some displeasure.
Oh, yeah. I think to a fault, they know I have their back. Like almost like I might have gone too far, but I see it because I'm on their side first. They make my job easier. And so I want to make their job easier and vice versa. The same thing. Like there was been times where earlier this year, we had a big renovation. I just got so sick right after. And I was off work for a week and I've never done that. And then so recognizing like, yeah, I am going to take care of myself. And so if you have a migraine and you've been up all night long, like, yeah, you can text me. Like, yeah, we're going to figure it out. We're going to get your patients moved around. We'll figure it out.
Well, and I think there's so much grace and wisdom, especially after, at least I found this to be the case with me after I had my son, and again, a one and only, very cognizant that for every first, it's also my last, and to soak in that moment. But also, I think it's made me a better leader and better manager at work because we're making some TV. I'm writing some contracts. We're not curing COVID. And really all of my colleagues that I work with, I recognize that they're carrying some pain that I'll never know about. And so if they were snappy to me today, okay, it really has nothing to do with my ability being an attorney. Like they need me to give them some grace because apparently there's some really hard stuff going on in their life. And at the end of the day, if my son and my husband and my dog are excited to see me, that's the stuff that matters. Yeah. All right. Well, before we end each and every episode, I don't know, did you ever watch Inside the Actor's Studio with James Lipton?
A very little bit.
Okay, so he asked those 10 questions. I have my own set of 10 questions.
Okay.
Well, 5 questions.
Okay.
And I call them the Fabulous 5. Some are serious. The last one is not serious at all. And so you can be silly. You can be just whatever comes to mind. So we talked a lot about your family of origin and you growing up. What's a life lesson that you pull back to several times or that you sort of keep in mind from your family or just somebody that you felt to be really wise that you look to a lot?
Oh, that's a tough one. Because there's, like I said, as I've gotten older, there's been things where I've pulled away from my family a little bit, I'll be honest. But I think the main thing is like you have to work to get what you want.
Yes.
Things like I mentioned earlier, we've gotten very comfortable being comfortable. And sometimes if you want more, you have to do more.
Oh, I love that.
If you want more, you have to do more.
No, you're right. I mean, this podcast is an example of that. You know, I had this idea and I could have never said anything. And I'm still being an attorney. I'm still doing the legal work. But I said, oh, why did I get this idea? And then there's been some uncomfortable moments because I'm having to learn a new skill and grow. But at my core, I'm really passionate about helping women and like, let's get uncomfortable and turn on some mics and some cameras, right? I love that. But yeah, if you want something, you have to go for it. I think that applies to yoga too. If you want to work on your handstand, well, you need to probably work on pro.
Probably practice.
Yeah. It's not just going to happen. So if you've had hard moments in life, we all have. And, you know, I think I connect so much with you because you talk about the achievement and the grades, you know, which you had to do in medical school, just like I had to do in law school. So sometimes life gets really loud. What's something that really helps you hold on and grounds you?
My husband and my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even when I'm having like some of the like rough days at work, because it's interesting, especially being a manager. I've been screamed at. I was told you are not a supervisor, and I was like, well, in my head I'm like, well, if I wasn't a supervisor, I wouldn't be talking to you anymore because I would have just found my supervisor. But knowing that at the end of the day, I'm going to get home and they're going to be there.
Yeah.
Every day, you know, at least for now, and knowing that too, you know, I don't know if you've heard the song "If We Were Vampires" by Jason Isbell.
Mm-hmm. You play it a lot. I had never heard it before until you played it, and then I went and listened to it, and then had a moment that day. I'm going to be honest. But talk about I can't talk to you. I make you cry in yoga.
Yeah.
You make
So
me
my
cry.
husband's 13 years old.
Yeah.
So all things go well in life. There's going to be a gap of time where it's going to be just me and my kid. All things go well in life. That's going to be it. So knowing that, and like I said, he's been through so much stuff. And especially after I have my daughter, you get the nitpicky things come up a little bit more than they were when it was just the two of you. But recognizing that, like, really? Yeah, I know. With a crying baby in the background, everything's fine. Like, but he just pointed out, like, there's going to be a time where it's just going to be you two. And so until then, let's get what we can get out of it, you know? So
that's beautiful.
So those two all day.
I love that. I love that. On your nightstand or in your bedroom or in your home, what's something that's like an object that's really sacred to you?
So I have this little dish, and it's funny that you're wearing that butterfly. So my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, I don't call her that because we were married.
Yeah.
So she's my mother-in-law. So I need to start calling her that. I'll call her my husband's mom a lot. But I also say my husband's dad. So I'm not. And he's still here.
She sounds like she needs a special title. Like, I don't know.
Cece is what we want my daughter to refer to her as. But she had a butterfly necklace. And again, we weren't married when she passed, but my father-in-law made sure I had it. So I have that. And then I have my Yonder Yoga little 4th founding member medallion because I wasn't sure. I had emailed Selby on LinkedIn because I don't have anything to like apply, but we weren't open yet. So I got a membership there either way. So I have that. And then there's a little charm of a necklace for my father. So those little dish sort of
I'm wearing the butterfly today. This was my grandmother's pin. She loved wearing brooches, and today is her birthday, and so she had to be part of this. I love that we have that.
We have a lot of connections.
We do. It's really weird.
Starting to get eerie. So my husband's name is Ryan too, by the way.
Yeah,
just so everyone knows.
Yeah, yeah. We have a lot of. Jessica knew what she was doing, and that's a skill she has of putting people together. So if you could ask God or however you refer to God, anything and get an answer, what do you think you'd want to know?
You asked me one and I'm like, I have a million.
I mean, don't we all?
I know. I think the one question, and it's a question but not a question, like, am I on the right track? And I feel like I am.
Yeah.
And I've also let go of the idea of trying to force it. Because before I moved to Atlanta, I went to Arizona State. I went to UNLV for physical therapy school and failed out. Thinking I was on the right track. Like, go.
Yeah.
And then so knowing that led me to Atlanta, led me to my husband, led me to Emory and Yonder, all these things. So like,
even though it was a no, it was a not yet. It felt like a no in the moment.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. Big no. For a type A person failing anything.
That was my dark year after that, girl. Yeah. Because it was a year break that I took before and reapplied and had to restart. But I think, sometimes feeling like having that reassurance would be nice. I know we can't have it.
Yeah. No, I feel that so much. I think for me, and not that I have an answer, but I try to keep like the big picture in mind. You talked about goals of handstands, right? And when I have goals, I try to make them more ethereal almost. Like, I want to motivate women. I don't know what that looks like. Some days I think it looks like me connecting with somebody at work. Some days it looks like me telling somebody, say at the coffee shop, your hair looks amazing today. And maybe it looks like a podcast too. So now to the not so serious. When you're done for the day and it's just shit's hit the fan. What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
Yeah, I mean, really, there's nothing more satisfying.
My daughter's using it now. That's good.
What was your reaction when she first did?
So
did she use it correctly though?
That's the thing. Yes, she used it.
Okay, so it's a little bit
so
like fist
we
bump.
are. We decided from the start we were not going to try to not have her be a bad language user because it's just not realistic. That means I have.
Okay, it's not realistic. Yeah,
but it's all about context.
Okay,
right. And so I started cursing at a very young age. Proudly, I say it so proudly. But I knew like you don't use it at school.
Yep.
And we use it in context. So at the house, we don't cuss at each other ever.
Right.
You don't call someone names.
Right.
And so I'm like, as long as she does that and doesn't use them in front of grandma and grandpa, we're fine. So yeah, she dropped something, and she was like, I was like, "You okay? You okay in there?" Like,
yeah. I love it
because I was like, "There's no way we're gonna stop."
Yeah. No, I get that. I love that y'all embrace this is who our family is. Yeah. And you are now a member of that. And so this is what that looks like for us. And for the rest of the world, like we don't need to go to school and do it because you will get sent home. But otherwise, it's a form of expression.
And even so, my sister, so she was the youngest of 4. So she would hear us cussing in the house. She didn't realize, I guess, that we weren't doing when we went to school. So she called her preschool teacher an effing B.
Oh yeah. Probably didn't.
But she's doing great. She's like a diplomat now. She does so. Even that I recognize. Like, you know what? Even the worst things that she could say, my sister's doing great. You know, she's got no problem. She's very successful. She's got her master's. So even if it doesn't like eke out correctly through childhood, she'll be okay.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, and also
she's not breaking into cars. You know?
Well, yeah, and I mean, such a good lesson for you because, you know, we have our kids are both young and we have all these dreams and goals, but also recognizing they're trying to figure out how to be human and how to be adults. And they're going to make some poor decisions. And it's not going to be the end of the world if they do.
Not going to be the end of the world. Yeah.
We're there to help them and to guide them and to love them into being who they're supposed to be. Yeah. Kind of like in yoga, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
I may not have you are and let me guide you to your best self.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right. Well, that is it for today. I think the message I heard was that yoga doesn't have to be perfect. It can look like just taking a moment for yourself. You don't have to find a studio. There are a lot of resources and tools online as far as YouTube. I would tell people to just jump in and try something new, right?
Try something and go from there.
Yeah. And if it's a studio that doesn't work, then find another one.
Then keep going.
Yeah, just
I think I say about chair pose. If you don't like the chair you're in, find a different chair.
Find a different chair. Yes, find a different chair. All right. Thanks for being with me today. All right, that's it for today. You can ache for who you were before everything changed and still become someone new. Grief and growth sit at the table, often passing notes when we're not looking. This tea, this time, this space. It's part of your healing, and it's part of mine too. You're not broken. You're just brewing. Follow along on Instagram at How Do I Do This Pod and on YouTube at How Do I Do This Pod. DM me on Instagram and tell me what kind of grief you're holding right now. Seriously, I'll read every one and will probably be the person to respond back. Tell me what you have tried that you think might help me. I'm open to trying anything that's not illegal. Your story might find its way into one of our future episodes.